Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Okay, we're going to try this again because for some reason before our connection wasn't working. So I just got through attending a meeting with let me amend that. I got through attending a meeting in which I thought we were going to be, myself and a group of some other Muslims and even some other members of the extended faith community. I thought we were going to be meeting with Representative Judy Chu, who is a Democrat out here in California. And the whole reason for this meeting was to discuss urging her to vote for a ceasefire. And, well, let's not make this a cliffhanger. Long story short, one, Representative Chu wasn't even here, even though I was told that we were going to meet with her. But instead, we wound up meeting with her underling. As I said to him, if I have a problem with my order, I don't want to talk to DoorDash. I want to talk to the cook in the kitchen. And so there were so many things wrong with this whole meeting, and there are so many things wrong with the Muslim approach to politics, and so many things wrong, especially in this time of heightened emotion, of how Muslims are being also taken advantage of. So I'm just going to try to share some thoughts and reflections on how this went. So one, the people attending, like I said, it was a mix of Muslim and non-Muslim. There were 3 Palestinians that were there. And the way the meeting was conducted was, why don't you tell us your story? And so, of course, these people are bearing their soul, ripping open old wounds, talking about, and they ranged in age from older than me. I mean, I'm 50, they're older than me, to obviously somewhat younger. So one dude was, and here's the thing, from young to old, they were all born in occupation. So there was a lady there, a sister, who was, you never talk about a woman's age, but she was older than I am, but she said she was born in occupation. And so she talked about how she lost so far just in this conflict, in this episode, she lost over 100 members of her family, which is just a number that is unimaginable. For many of us, I have a very small family. We couldn't afford to lose 100 people. There wouldn't be nobody left. And so she starts, crying, and other people are crying, and she's talking about how she's lost 100 people. And then another young gentleman who works in the medical field spoke. The very reason why he got into being a physician's assistant is because as a child, their house was bombed by Israel, and part of his sister's skull was missing. And he had to administer some emergency aid to his sister. And so that's what started him down the path of wanting to be a physician, to work in the medical field. Another young man, talked about how similar kind of tragedy. And so these people, as the representatives of Judy Chu, are just sitting there listening, shrugging their head very solemnly. And so it kind of did a little round robin, and, alhamdulillah, like there was a couple of Christians that were there, and their heart's in the right place. But what was really going on is these people brought us in, and it was a kind of what I like to call polytricks. It's like they were casting a kind of magic spell where, yes, poor little Palestinian, yes, oh, poor Muslim, come in and bare your soul for us and tell us your story. So, of course, when they got to the end, I remained silent. And then when I saw that this dude was about to complete the casting of his little spell here to get the people to feel that they really accomplished something and did something, I said, nah, we got to throw a wrench up in this one. So I said, you don't deserve to hear their story. You don't deserve to hear their pain. I said, I would actually like to flip things around, and I would like for you to tell us your story. I would like for you to tell me the story of how you can compute some kind of moral calculus that is acceptable to murder 4,000 children, to bomb and shell hospitals and other non-military targets with impunity and the full support of Israel. I want you to define for me your concept of defense, because your mantra is Israel has the right to defend itself. I would like to know what constitutes your definition of defense. And so there were some other choice words that I said that I will not repeat here, because this is a family program. But I did tell them that the whole situation reeks of horse manure. Of course, I had to use another word besides manure, but I'm sure you can figure it out. To which I called the chief of staff of Representative Chu. I said, you are a coward, you are a hypocrite, and you are a party to murder. Of which then he, of course, took great umbrage. And, of course, he was upset at those kinds of words and said, well, we can't change the world. And I said, see, here you go again, son. That might work on, I hate to say it, but that might work on some white folk. That might work on these Palestinians that came in here because they are in a state of trauma, and you've gotten them to dig up all this trauma out of their soul. So they don't even realize the kind of witchcraft that you're summoning up and the kind of devilry that you're summoning up to give these people some illusion that they're doing something. I said, but unfortunately, you're dealing with a black man from Detroit. So we know what exactly this looks like. And I want you to explain to me how you can justify any of this. And again, I said, you don't deserve to hear their story. You don't deserve to hear my story. I want to hear you explain to me in your own words. And so after calling the man a snake and a hypocrite and a devil and a murderer of children, I said, if this is not going to result in Representative Chu calling for a ceasefire, and let me finish my other thought. I said, you're trying to emotionally blackmail me. See, that might have worked him and then other people, but see, for you can't emotionally blackmail black people. You cannot emotionally blackmail us. So when you come and say, oh, well, we can't change the world, we're not asking you to change the world. We're simply asking you to speak in a particular way that says our voice is and our vote is for ceasefire. We're not asking you to change the world. So you might try to obfuscate, and like a person, you probably could slip out of a straitjacket, but it's not going to work. Because I'm crazy, and we both in the straitjacket, I'm crazy too. And you ain't slipping out the straitjacket. So I said, your little attempt at emotional blackmail is going to fall flat on its face. And I want you to tell me, you explain to me, you tell us your story. Of which he said, well, I've worked in this office for 12 years, and I've worked with Congressman Chu. Really? So you've sat up in this office for 12 years, and you can go to sleep every night and sleep like a baby while babies are being murdered. Then either you need a new job or you need a new heart, because there is something viciously wrong with you. And I'm not going to sit here and listen to your spiel. And he became quite incensed because he said, well, you're interrupting me. I said, I am. I'm not interested in hearing you say anything other than Representative Chu is going to vote for a ceasefire. And if that's it, I am not here to play this game. I'm not here for your Jedi mind trick for us to come here and open up and bear our emotions to you, and then feel like when we leave, and you pat us on the head like little children under the auspices of something good was done here. Nothing good was done here. Nothing good whatsoever was done. And so this brings me back to what I've been saying that far predates this latest episode of Israel murdering Palestine. And that is, Muslims must reconsider their fate in America from many different avenues. One, I think Muslims should reconsider whether they should stay here. I know not everybody can leave and make hijrah, and there's no perfect place to go to, but I hope that Muslims will reconsider the notion of staying in America as like an obvious, choice. Maybe not. As Allah says in the Quran, "Ardullahi wasi'ah," that the earth is vast and expansive. Maybe there's other opportunities. Two, for those that will be staying, need to get out of the business of politics. Because this woman is a Democrat. As we saw, Bernie Sanders, the darling of the so-called progressive movement, just demanding the destruction of Hamas and making Hamas central to the argument, and will not call for a ceasefire. And of course, we already know what the right is all about. And they all work for the Zionists. It's so funny. That community loves to moan and cry and whimper about anti-Semitism and the conspiracy theories that fuel anti-Semitism. But the fact that hardly no American politician is willing to simply speak with a conscience demonstrates that it's true. They're all owned by the Zionist lobby. They're all beholden to it, and they control America. In many ways, America has become a vassal state for Israel. The illusion is we give them aid in billions of dollars every year. But that's actually kind of part of the sleight of hand, charlatanism that's going on. The reality is we are a vassal state for them. And so if there's going to be any continuity of Islam in America, Muslims are going to have to, and I don't mean this as lip service, Muslims are really going to have to put aside their differences. And that's hard to do. Even for me, it's hard to do. But I'm getting to a point where I feel like maybe the American project just is no longer, the soil is not vibrant anymore. The air is so polluted, and I'm not talking about environmentalism here. Obviously, I'm speaking euphemistically about the ability for this environment in America to foster the continuity of Islam where Muslims can live a dignified existence. But yeah, I think we also have to, and I want to say this last piece, especially for our brothers and sisters from Palestine that are really suffering emotionally and are highly traumatized. I mean, if we're traumatized, imagine them, people who are losing their family members by the dozens, by the 100 people at a time. Is that we have to, like a person that is not well, we have to be there to look out for them. Because I personally feel, if I had not been there today, right, in that group, there was like a couple of again, well-meaning Latino church members. There was an African-American brother from another church in Pasadena. And, alhamdulillah, their hearts are in the right place. But they are not willing to push back and challenge these people on their mythology and their ideology. And if I had not spoken up in the way that I did, those people would have left from that feeling good, I dare say. They would have left from that feeling good that they did something, that they spoke their voice, and that they were listened to. No. They were slapped in the face it was akin to being lit on fire and then urinated upon to put the fire out. And so those of us, while also deeply upset by this, we need to make sure that our brothers and sisters from Palestine are not being taken advantage of, and they need our voice and our support. So I'm just leaving this here as some food for thought. I am deeply sickened, but not surprised. After all, this is America. So I'll leave you with that. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. May Allah Ta'ala, of course, bless our guide and our Prophet Muhammad and his righteous companions and noble family. May Allah Ta'ala bless the people of Palestine. For those who have passed away, may He grant them Jannah til Firdaus. May He grant them the highest of Jannah, of paradise. And may He protect and give those who are still there victory over the snakes and the devils. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.